Hey everybody, welcome to the reading of the Quran by Beau. And I am Beau, and so glad you could join me in my part 4 reading of the cow. So this is at the beginning of the Quran, and if you've never read the Quran, well, hey, let's do it together. And I love reading books that I'm not too familiar with. And so the Quran is a book that a lot of people don't read, especially coming from my background. We just never have gotten into it before in our lives. Not something that we've thought about growing up. I grew up out in Southern California and, very secular, very progressive. A lot of people in our day and age kind of make decisions thinking they know what the Quran says, but they've never actually read it. And one of the things I learned about Christianity and Judaism was that most Christians just didn't read the Bible. And so when I read the Bible, I was kind of surprised that when I mentioned something, say in the book of Numbers or the book of Leviticus, they didn't know what I was talking about. They weren't familiar with the text, though they've been at church their whole lives. So, I'm sure that's how it is with a lot of people that are in Islam as well. So they've never really read the text. So I'm going to start at verse 188 of the cow. And so this is what it says. And do not waste your property among yourselves on vanity, nor seek by it to gain the hearing of judges, so that you may knowingly devour a portion of others' property wrongfully. They ask you about new moons, say they are fixed seasons for mankind and for the pilgrimage. It is not righteous that you go to houses from the backs, but the righteous man is he who fears Allah. So enter houses by the gates and observe your duty to Allah, so that you may be successful. So various laws. Fight for the sake of Allah against those who fight against you, but do not transgress. Indeed, Allah does not love transgressors. So one of the things we learn about the Quran is that it is a law-based system. It is a religious system that is based on works, meaning if you do particular works, then you are good, and perhaps you can go to heaven. Now, what makes this similar to other religions is this idea of works, that you have to kind of earn your way. You have to follow the commands. And so in that way, it's very similar to a lot of religions that are out there. Certainly very much like Judaism, the idea of following these particular social, religious, ceremonial laws. Fight for the sake of Allah against all those who fight against you. Okay, so, but do not transgress. So we see on page 81, we get the first idea of fighting. So indeed, Allah does not love transgressors. And kill them wherever you find them. So that's 191. And drive them out from where they drove you out, for persecution is worse than slaughter. And that's an interesting statement, isn't it? Kill them wherever you find them and drive them out from where they drove you out, for persecution is worse than slaughter. And do not fight them with them at the sacred mosque until they first attack you there. But if they attack you, then kill them. This is the reward of unbelievers. So I would imagine that passage does have an implication into today's kind of world that we live in. If you lose some land, you fight them back. with all you got. To give up land would be the worst. The most dishonor. You need to fight back. But if they stop, then indeed Allah is forgiving, merciful. And fight them until persecution is no more and religion is for Allah. But if they stop, then let there be no hostility except against wrongdoers. So you fight and you keep fighting until what? Until they turn towards Allah, until they convert. And so fight till they convert. Make sure you don't give up land. And if they take something from you, you better fight them until the end. The sacred month for the sacred month and sacred things are subject to retaliation. When whoever transgresses against you, you transgress in the same way against him. Observe your duty to Allah and know that Allah is with those who fear Allah. So this is the idea, it's kind of the opposite of turn the other cheek. You might have heard Joshua talk about that. Well, this is the other way, right? This is the idea of retaliating in the same way as you've been afflicted. Spend your wealth for the sake of Allah and do not be cast into ruin by your own hands, and do good. Indeed, Allah loves those who do good. Perform the pilgrimage, the Hajj, and the minor pilgrimage, your Umrah, for Allah. And if you are prevented from doing so, then send gifts that you can obtain with ease. And do not shave your heads until the gifts have reached their destination. And whoever among you is sick or has a head ailment must pay a ransom of fasting or almsgiving or offering. And if you are in safety, then whoever contents himself with the Umrah for the pilgrimage, send gifts that can be obtained with ease. And whoever cannot find them, then a fast of 3 days while on the pilgrimage, and of 7 when you have returned, that is 10 in all. That is for him whose family is not present at the sacred mosque. Observe your duty to Allah, and know that Allah is severe in punishment. So we get, again, a lot of punishment. If you don't observe the law, you will be punished. That's kind of how it's going down. So if you can't make the Hajj, send your gifts, do your religious duty in sending these gifts. But if you don't do it, there is punishment that awaits. The pilgrimage is the well-known months, and whoever has decided to perform the pilgrimage in them, there is no lewdness, nor abuse, nor angry conversation on the pilgrimage. And whatever good you do, Allah knows it. So make provision for yourselves, for the best provision is to fear Allah. Therefore keep your duty to me, O men of understanding. It is no sin for you that you seek the bounty of your Lord, but when you press on in the multitude from Arafat, remember Allah by the sacred monument. Remember him as he has guided you, although before you were of those who were astray. Then hurry on from the place from which the multitude hurries on, and ask forgiveness of Allah. Indeed, Allah is forgiving, merciful. And when you have completed your devotions, then remember Allah as you remember your fathers, or with a more spirited remembrance. But among mankind is the one who says, Our Lord, give to us in this world, and he has no share in the hereafter. And among them is the one who says, Our Lord, give to us what is good in this world and in the hereafter, and guard us from the torment of fire. For them there is stored up a good share out of what they have earned. Allah is swift at reckoning. So we see torment of fire. We see Allah is swift towards reckoning. He's gonna balance the books. It says, remember Allah throughout the established days. Then whoever hastens by 2 days, it is no sin for him. And whoever delays, it is no sin for him. That is for him who fears Allah. Be mindful of your duty to Allah and know that to him you will be gathered. And of mankind, there is he whose conversation about the life of this world pleases you. And he calls Allah to witness about what is in his heart, yet he is the most hostile of opponents. Interesting. Someone who has a conversation about the life of this world and it pleases you, remember that person is the most hostile opponent. So it's kind of interesting that someone is talking to you, they're having a conversation with you. And I wonder if this is in the Hajj, meaning are you on the pilgrimage and someone's talking to you, or if it's just in general someone's talking to you. But they are talking about things that maybe aren't of Islam. It says, yet he is the most hostile of opponents, right? A conversation about the life of this world. If you're pleased by it, then remember, he's hostile, right? You know, it's the idea of paying attention to the person who is potentially going to lead you astray. That's the idea, it sounds like. And when he turns away, his effort in the land is to spread corruption in it and to destroy the crops and the cattle, and Allah does not love corruption. And when it is said to him, be mindful of your duty to Allah, pride takes him to sin. Gehenna is enough for him, an evil bed. Okay, so this is a word that's used in the New Testament in the book of Matthew 5:22, 5:29, 5:30, and it's generally understood as referring to hell. So another word that's used, we saw impending doom, we've seen fire, we've seen Gehenna, we've seen punishment. We've seen a lot of ways of describing the eternal abode for those who do not subscribe to Islam. And of mankind is the one who would sell himself seeking the pleasure of Allah, and Allah has compassion on his slaves. So it sounds like in Islam, the relationship between God and the followers of God or Allah is one of slave master. O you who believe, enter Islam in full and do not follow the footsteps of Satan. Indeed, he is an open enemy to you. And if you turn away after the clear proofs have come to you, then know that Allah is mighty and wise. So the book in the cow, it is talking every now and then about this idea of clear proofs. There's clear proofs, meaning, hey, Muhammad's going to show everybody that this is the real deal. Are they waiting for anything else other than Allah coming to them in the shadows of the clouds with the angels? Then the case would be already judged. All cases go back to Allah. Ask the children of Israel how many clear signs we gave them. He who alters the favor of Allah after it has come to him. Indeed, Allah is severe in punishment. I would say this, that in the cow, you get the idea that Muhammad is not too impressed by the dedication of the Jewish people to Judaism or the Christians to Christianity, and he's disgusted by the paganism in Arabia. And that none of these things really, let me say it this way, he has seen a lot of, it sounds like, problems. And so there is this clear correcting of all the issues through the new revelation, This is going to bring clarity. That's what it sounds like, where this is going. That Muhammad's push to this new revelation before people is to get people on the straight and narrow per se, and not follow the pleasures, the dictates of their heart that have corrupted them, whether they are Jews, whether they are Christians, or even pagans at that. And so it says, he who alters the favor of Allah after it has come to him, indeed, Allah is severe in punishment. Okay, so we get another Allah is severe in punishment. I think we got that down. The life of the world is beautiful for those who disbelieve. They make a joke of the believers, but those who keep their duty to Allah will be above them on the day of resurrection. Allah gives without limit to those whom he wills. So this is, I think, the second time or third time that we see in the cow there's a reference to the resurrection. There's no doctrine given per se of the resurrection. It's just mentioned that there is a resurrection. Very Hebrew scriptures, very New Testament scriptures like, in that it mentions the resurrection. Mankind was one community, and Allah sent prophets as bearers of good news and as warners, and revealed with them the book with the truth, that it might judge among mankind concerning the things they disagreed about. And only those to whom it was given disagreed about it, after clear proofs had come to them, though hatred one of another. And Allah, by his will, guided those who believe to the truth of what they disagreed about. Allah guides those whom he wills to a straight path. Okay. So now I'm in 214. So that's the verse. 214. Or do you think that you will enter paradise while there has not yet come upon you anything like what came to those who passed away before you? Affliction and adversity befell them. They were shaken as with earthquake, until the messenger and those who believed along with him said, when does Allah's help come? Now indeed Allah's help is near. They ask you what they should spend. Say, what you spend for good to parents and near relatives and orphans and the needy and the wayfarer, and whatever good you do, indeed Allah is aware of it. Warfare is commanded for you, even though it is odious for you, but it may happen that you hate something that is good for you, and it may happen that you love something that is bad for you. Allah knows. You do not know. They ask you about warfare in the sacred month. Say warfare during it is an awesome sin. But to turn people away from the way of Allah and to disbelieve in him and expelling his people from the sacred mosque is more serious with Allah. For persecution is worse than slaughter. And they will not stop fighting against you until you have made your renegades from your religion, if they can. And whoever becomes a renegade and dies in his disbelief, they are the ones whose works have failed both in this world and the hereafter. They are the rightful companions of the fire. They will remain in it. Okay, so if you don't stop fighting, right? And it says, if you kind of turn away, then you'll be a companion. And where? In the fire. That's where. And it says, so there you go. So it's, again, better to slaughter, right, than to be persecuted, right? So indeed, those who believe and those who emigrate and wage jihad for the sake of Allah, these have hope of Allah's mercy. Allah is forgiving, merciful. Okay, so that's on page 90. 218, 218, we get the word jihad. for the sake of Allah. And it's right after the idea of, war and making sure that you don't turn back, turn away from the necessary war that you need to fight. And it talks about, again, slaughter's better than persecution. So it says, indeed, those who believe and those who immigrate and wage jihad for the sake of Allah, these have hope of Allah's mercy. Allah is forgiving and merciful. So jihad sounds like a positive thing for Muslims if they wage jihad. That's how you obtain the mercy of Allah. So if you want mercy from the Almighty, then you have to be pro-jihad. That's what it sounds like. They ask you about strong drink and games of chance. Say, in both is a great sin and some benefit for men, but their sin is greater than their benefit, and they ask you what they should spend. Say what you can spare. In this way, Allah makes signs clear to you that maybe you will reflect upon the world and the hereafter. And they ask you about orphans. Say, to improve their situation is best. And if you mingle your affairs with theirs, then they are your brothers. Allah knows the one who spoils things from the one who improves things. If Allah had willed, He could have overburdened you. Allah is mighty, wise. Do not marry idolatresses until they believe, for indeed a believing slave woman is better than an idolatress, even though she pleases you. And do not give your daughters in marriage to idolaters until they believe, for indeed a believing slave is better than an idolater, even though he pleases you. These people invite you to the fire, and Allah invites you to the garden and to forgiveness by His grace, and explains His signs to mankind so that perhaps they will remember. Okay, so the first mention of grace is on page 92, and it is in verse 221 of the cow, that Allah does have forgiveness. How? By grace. It's a gift. That's interesting. So Allah gives a gift of forgiveness to people who don't marry, or He gives grace to people who marry the right person. If you marry a person who is a believer in Islam, then you will receive forgiveness by His grace. But if you are a Muslim and you do not marry a Muslim, and then you will not be forgiven, I take it, by His grace. So it is, again, a works-based religious system. They ask you about menstruation. Yeah, menstruation. Say, it is an illness, so leave women alone at such times and do not go in to them until they are cleansed. Interesting. Menstruation is a illness. And when they have purified themselves, then go in to them as Allah has commanded you. Indeed, Allah loves those who turn to Him and loves those who are concerned about cleanliness. Okay. That sounds like a real practical law. Again, it sounds very Torah-like, just practical laws. Your women are a field for you. So go to your field as you will, and send before you for your souls, and fear Allah, and know that you will meet Him. Give good news to believers. So hey, your wife is your field. Go to her. Enjoy. Give good news to believers. And do not, by your oaths, make Allah a hindrance to your being righteous and observing your duty to Him and making peace among mankind. Allah is here, knower. Okay, let me read that one again, verse 224. And do not, by your oaths, make Allah a hindrance to you to your being righteous and observing your duty to Him and making peace among mankind. So be careful about your oaths, what you're saying. It's like Jesus was talking about, let your yes be yes and your no be no, right? Everything else, he says, comes from the evil one, right? We can get too in trouble with our mouths. Allah will not hold you accountable for what is unintentional in your oaths, but He will hold you accountable for what your hearts have earned. Allah is forgiving, merciful. Those who swear abstinence from their wives must wait 4 months. Then, if they change their mind, indeed, Allah is forgiving, merciful. Okay, so there's some kind of abstinence there, and there's a law with it. And if they decide upon divorce, Allah is here, knower. Women who are divorced will wait, keeping themselves apart for 3 courses. And it is not lawful for them that they should conceal what Allah has created in their wombs, if they are believers in Allah and the last day. And their husbands would do better to take them back in that case, if they desire a reconciliation. And they have rights similar to those who are over them in kindness, and men are a degree above them. Allah is mighty wise. Okay, so men are a little bit above the women, but women do have some rights. Divorce must be pronounced twice, and then a woman must be retained in honor or released in kindness. And it is not lawful for you to take back anything from women out of what you have given them, except when both parties are afraid that they may not be able to keep within the limits of Allah. And if you fear that they may not be able to keep the limits of Allah, in that case, it is no sin for either of them if the woman ransoms herself. These are the limits of Allah. Do not transgress them, for whoever transgresses Allah's limits is a wrongdoer. And if he has divorced her, then she is not lawful to him after that until she has married another husband. Then if he divorces her, it is no sin for both of them that they come together again, if they think that they are able to observe the limits of Allah. These are the limits of Allah. He shows them to people who have knowledge. When you have divorced women and they have reached their term, then retain them in kindness or release them in kindness. Do not retain them to harm them, so that you transgress. He who does what is wrong, he who does that has wronged his soul. Do not make the signs of Allah a laughing stock, but remember Allah's grace upon you and what He has revealed to you of the book and of wisdom, by which He exhorts you. Observe your duty to Allah and know that Allah is aware of all things. And when you have divorced women and they reach their term, do not place difficulties in their way of their marrying their husbands if it is agreed between them in kindness. This is a warning for him among you who believes in Allah and the last day. That is more virtuous for you and cleaner. Allah knows. You do not know. Mothers will suckle their children for 2 whole years for those who wish to complete the suckling. The responsibility of feeding and clothing nursing mothers is upon the father of the child. No one should be charged beyond this capacity. A mother should not be made to suffer because of her child, nor should he to whom the child is born because of his child. And the heir is responsible in the same way. If they desire to wean the child by mutual consent and consultation, it is no sin for them. And if you wish to give your children out to nurse, it is no sin for you, provided that you pay what is due from you in kindness. Observe your duty to Allah and know that Allah is the seer of what you do. Those of you who die and leave wives behind, they will wait, keeping themselves apart 4 months and 10 days. And when they reach the term, then there is no sin for you in anything that they may do with themselves in decency. Allah is informed of what you do. Notice after almost everything it says, man, Allah knows what you do. Kind of idea. There is no sin for you in what you proclaim or hide in your minds concerning your betrothal with women. Allah knows that you will remember them. But do not get betrothed with women except by saying a recognized form of words, and do not consummate the marriage until the prescribed term is completed. Know that Allah knows what is in your minds, so beware of him, and know that Allah is forgiving, merciful. It is no sin for you to divorce women even when you have not yet touched them, or established a portion for them. Provide for them, the rich according to his means, and the poor according to his means, a fair provision, a duty for those who do good. If you divorce them before you have touched them, and you have established a portion for them, then half of what you established, unless they agree to forego it, or he agrees to forego it, whose hand is the marriage tie. To forego is near to piety. And do not forget kindness among yourselves. Allah is the seer of what you do. Be guardians of your prayers and of the midday prayer, and stand up with devotion to Allah. And if you go out in fear, then standing or on horseback. And when you are again in safety, remember Allah, as he has taught you what you did not know. Those of you who are about to die and leave wives behind them, they should bequeath to their wives a provision for the year without turning them out. But if they go out, there is no sin for you in what they do of themselves within their rights. Allah is mighty, wise. For divorced women, a provision in kindness, a duty for those who fear Allah. In this way, Allah explains his signs to you so that you may understand. Okay, we're going to stop there. We're going to stop and start again at the cow, 243. So that's going to end our part 4 reading of the cow. And maybe you can think about kind of what that was about. Obviously a lot of various laws. Some interesting things about war too. We heard the word jihad for the first time in this reading. That was interesting as well. And the idea too of not giving up land and making sure that if it gets taken from you, to make sure you go to war until you get it back. And so that's interesting and certainly plays a part in our day. Maybe why, again, people are doing what they do. Maybe they're getting it from the book. Okay, so we will talk to you guys later. You guys take care, okay? Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.